Hello everybody, this is Mackerel Phones. I'm playing Time Zone. This is a 1991 Famicom game. As far as I know, it was completely unreleased in the United States, but this is a translation done by the great Mato of Legends of Localization. Very respectable translator. He worked on the translation of Mother 3. You know, in addition to like a whole bunch of anime that are like professionally translated because that's his job. Anyway, let's get started. And there's our story. Already, I have a lot of questions. When I first saw this screen here, I assumed that it was the car, the sign, and the soda can that was telling us that Haruka was taken. But in fact, no. Those, as it turns out, are Professor Time's minions. Now, as for why Professor Time kidnapped Haruka, I don't know. It's honestly quite unsettling. And also, who is this boy? They didn't say his name. Well, whoever he is, he fights by throwing baseball cap. That's his name, baseball cap. I guess they had this kind of Super Mario Odyssey thing going on here. Years ahead of time. These people were visionaries. And as you can see, you can also stand on top of the roofs of these buildings. It has a very blocky, clear line style, which I think looks very nice. What the? Oh yeah, I forgot, he rides on a skateboard sometimes, and it makes him invincible. I think he controls a little bit differently, though. Now, since this boy doesn't have a name, but his girlfriend's named Haruka, I'm going to assume he has a Japanese name. Maybe Ken. I'm just gonna say he's Ken Yamamoto. So, in any case, why did Professor Time kidnap Haruka? Do you think it's because... I don't know. Oh yeah, it's the roller coaster level. Hat. As you can see, I meant to do that. The difficult thing on this level is you have to hit the... I'll call them zingers at just the right moment, or you die. And nobody wants to die. It's very unpopular, even though everybody does it eventually. Oh, so close. I never said I would be good at this. Any reason I can think of for Professor Time to kidnap Haruka just kind of raises more questions. Aw, come on. For example, let's say that Professor Time had some kind of long-standing beef with either the boy here, or Haruka, or with their families. Because why else would he just randomly kidnap her? I mean, he's called Professor Time, right? I feel like he has more nefarious things to be doing than kidnapping a random teenage girl. Damn! There we go. Anyway, I'm not sure what we're gonna find on this island. Come to think of it, this whole area, these islands are very square. Maybe, I don't know, they're clearly man-made islands. Okay. Is this your house, Mr. Sign? What? What bee swarm are you talking about? Oh! I think the third one. Good, good. I know how to count to 10. Eh? A 3-up? That sounds pretty valuable. I'm surprised that you're helping me. I thought that all you street signs were Professor Time's henchmen. I guess it shows. Not all street signs. Now these buildings are flooded, which raises a lot of questions. So like, you know, what's going on here? Is the city flooded? Well, obviously this part of it is. But like, why? Is this, well, what am I saying why? It's obviously the results of climate change. But this is 1991, right? Where is this? I wouldn't expect that we'd see the results of that quite, at this point. Surely we should wait until we're in the, oh, Monty Mole thing. They're really nothing like Monty Moles, except that they're moles. Well, I'm surprised they could even burrow in this. I mean, it's made of concrete, right? Asphalt and steel? So, and it's not even that deep. Like, was there, well, clearly there was room for their bodies in it, so I don't need to ask how they were, because they were in it. And here is a cloud. And as you can see, we can actually stand on the cloud, and there's also a thing with fire shooting out of it. Yeah. I'm gonna go on record with the flooding is somehow because of Professor Time. Now, I'm not saying I really know what makes Professor Time tick. Really, there are a lot of questions I have about Professor Time. Are these bees and soda cans and cars and moles working for him? Or are they just totally unrelated? I'm gonna assume no, because even in 1991, signs and bees weren't normally attacking people quite like this. Or soda cans. Alright. Made it. I know what you're saying, mackerel phones, that's so easy. Look, how could you not make that mackerel phone? And you know, that's a good point. You see, he didn't jump. I hit the button though. And I know it just sounds like a cheap excuse, but I really did. I'm trying to think of why Professor Time is kidnapped Haruka. This is really bothering me. So here are my current theories. Some of them are very bad, and others are less bad. I mean, he's certainly up to no good. Maybe he kidnapped Haruka because he has some long-standing grudge against her or her family. Because why would it be against her? I mean, she's a teenager. You know, what does Professor Time care about that? Maybe, actually, I know. Professor Time's like a time traveler, right? So, it could be that in the future, Haruka was going to slight him somehow, and, this is his preemptive strike. He wants to ruin her life ahead of time. Alternatively, it's her family or the boy's family that has wronged him, or that he bears a grudge anyway. Also, I will note now that you can't actually backtrack to past levels, so that's kind of interesting. Oh, forced scrolling level. This is a very dangerous factory. Like, this is not how they should have designed it. Like, why would they build pistons that are going down onto, like, platforms that people walk on like this? You know, kid, you look pretty happy, given what's going on today. Your girlfriend's been kidnapped by a weird old creepy guy, and you're in a life-or-death situation in a factory full of spikes and other death traps. I guess it goes to show that optimism can get you through anything. And here's some cars' corpses. Is that what's going on? Are they smashing the cars here? But the cars are alive! Okay, this raises all sorts of disturbing possibilities. Like, really disturbing possibilities. Is Professor Time trying to exterminate the cars? Because the cars haven't been attacking us, to be fair. Alright, who's next? Anyone? No one? Oh, one of these things? I'm not even sure what that is. Is it a tire? That's a can. And here we have the car from that, who has warned us about Haruka, but not really, because it's an evil car, who would not be wanting to warn us about Haruka at all. Oh, no! Come on, car! Oh no, we have to start all over, right? Yeah, we do. I hate it when games punish you for, like, making a jump. Trying to be ahead of the curve like that. I knew it couldn't last. Yeah, let's continue. But here's the problem. When you continue, you gotta start the entire world over. Okay. This is an old game. I forgot that old games are always really hard. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Mackerel Phones, look at this. This isn't hard. And you're being like, how could you be this bad at video games? And I remind you that there are people at all skill levels. And I was doing pretty well initially on this level where there's no challenge. We did it! We beat the car! To think that he was murdering his own compatriots on behalf of Professor Time. This bonus is just gonna keep going, isn't it? It just keeps going. Oh, hey, another life though. That's nice. Haruka! Oh, he's like Professor Wily. BC? What time BC are we talking here? Wait a minute, Nikuki? Who's Nikuki? Isn't her name Haruka? But wait, why are we trying to capture Nikuki? Who is Nikuki? Well, alright. We're in a rough position now. I mean, if you don't find Dr. Time, or Professor Time, kid, you're doomed. You're going to die. I mean, you're already gonna die. There are diseases around back then that you have no immunity to. I love the way they drew the skull. Although, then again, to be fair, the diseases would not have evolved to, attack humans yet, would they? What the hell? What is that? Oh, volcanic debris, I see. Oh, there's fire-breathing dragons. Or dinosaurs, I guess. Well, I suppose that we don't know whether or not those dinosaurs breathe fire now, do we? Some things you can't ever be sure of. Maybe they did breathe fire. Some of these clear background sprites really, remind me of Pac-Land. I think that's a good thing. And now we're going into a cave. Another potential... Well, actually, there are a lot of questions about Professor Time, aren't there? So, who is Professor Time? Judging by his reaction, I'm gonna say the kid here has met him before. Did Professor Time... Is Professor Time well known? Did he know Professor Time in the past? That seems like the most likely explanation, because it would explain why, Professor Time bears a grudge against him and Haruka. They've had some kind of past experience together. Though I can't help but worry there's something almost pedophiliac in Professor Time, because he did, after all, kidnap an underage girl. It just seems very, very seedy to me. Unsavory, maybe I should say. He's not a good character, this Professor Time. But really, then again... But if he's named Professor Time... Professor? Does he work in academia? Oh, a talking dinosaur. This is going to really change our perspective on, the Cretaceous. I like that he is named T-Rex. He's not a T-Rex, he is T-Rex. Pterodons, huh? How many? Like, in total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10? Why is it always 10? Although, admittedly, some of these could not be 10, but I think I counted 10. Yes! 2 for 2, baby! I, too, would be this excited if I was told I could live again after I died 3 times. I wish I could. These look like a very dangerous group of islands to hang out on, little boy. Ken, I said your name was, right? Is that lava? It's probably not, because we saw there was islands in the ocean. So I'm gonna say it's water, but it's this color because it's twilight. We gotta make that jump, huh? Okay. Made it. I feel so accomplished. Huh? Were you... What? What was I supposed to do? He couldn't have jumped into that tree, could he? Well, I guess he could have. I mean, because otherwise it wouldn't have put it in the game like this. Unless there's something we could do with those weird blue-headed... Oh. You know, when he dies, or gets knocked out or whatever is happening, he looks like a Charlie Brown character. Maybe his name's Linus. Not Ken at all. Just because his girlfriend's Japanese doesn't mean he is. I guess I was just assuming they were in Japan. Here we go! That's the thing that got him. The little rolling cactus lizard. One thing I do like is that there's no time limit. I know that a lot of games of this vintage did that. Probably an imitation of Super Mario Brothers because it keeps the action going. But I never liked time limits. I think they're just kind of stressful and annoying most of the time. Although to be sure, there are occasions in which time limits make sense. You got one shot at that. Or not really, because the lava. I said it's not lava, it's clearly water. Because the water doesn't go over the head of the blue dinosaur thing. Whoa, 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 whoa. This is like the worst time to get this. Because he doesn't quite move the same way when he has this thing, like, on! And there it killed him. Now, I know that if I were better at this, I wouldn't have killed him, but what can you do? Maybe Professor Time is indeed an academic, and he travels back into the past in order to study older periods of history? Or way, way into prehistory in this case. But somehow he became corrupted because his godlike power, you know, the few power which few if any mortals had seen, has done this to him and made him lose sight of what matters in life. Like Kodai. No, I don't want to talk about that now. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll never forget. What? That's cheap. No, I'm gonna wait for this to wear off. Yep, I'm gonna wait for it to wear off. Because it's obviously useless. Well, it's not really useless, but today, like in this particular situation, it's useless! Okay. I like that they do, give you the chance to recover, because they put a, second one of the blue dinosaurs right there. It's just a little, it's nice to have a bit of mercy. This time we're gonna get to the end of the level. So help me. Gore! So help me gore. It's a nice touch how where there was a whale before, there's a, Tessie. It's a nice touch. Now, I'm not sure why Professor Time is a professor. Maybe it's for the reasons I said, he's been corrupted. Or maybe, the makers of Time Zone are taking a very harsh anti-academic stance. Now, I disagree with that. I think that these currents of intellectualism, which have prevailed really quite often in a lot of times and places throughout history, are only bad. But it is, I mean, it's definitely true that there are, you know, smug intellectuals in the world who are not admirable. Like, just because you're an academic doesn't mean you're a good guy, or someone who should be agreed with. But it does mean, well, a lot of the time it doesn't mean that, though. And I think that, you know, making this a predominantly anti-academic game is probably not wise. There are a lot of things, like, clearly there's some magic here, because look at these. These are dinosaur vertebrae that are floating. Anyway, I think we're seeing a pattern. Every, final level in the islands is going to be scrolling. I see that the auto-scrolling which was occurring here in 9,999 BC, which is not when dinosaurs were around. Humans were probably around at that point, in fact. Oh no. Oh no! Okay, pretty good. Oh, you gonna do anything else but swoop? It's gonna breathe. Oh! The issue is, to learn their patterns, you have to get through you have to, like, probably lose to them once. And that means you have to go through these levels multiple times. Though, honestly, it's easier than the factory level. Really, look at those nice smooth lines on the mountains. It reminds me of a Pac-Land. I walked into that one. Looks like a Pokemon, doesn't it? I mean, you could see that thing in the Pokedex. I could. Maybe it looks exactly like some Pokemon. I wouldn't know. Are you kidding me? You slipped into him? Three for 3. Or 4 for 4. Okay, I forget how many I did. We did it. Another one down. We're coming for you, Dr. Time. Professor Time. Man, they couldn't have made this go any faster? You can't skip it. Or I don't see any way to. The buttons aren't skipping it. Okay, I'm sure he's sincere this time. No. No, he's not. Thomas? What's next, indeed? Well, once again, we see this trope a lot in media. Indians are portrayed as the villains, but they're not villains sort of because they're villainous, but because evil white people are taking advantage of them. Thus, even in being portrayed as bad guys, they have lost their autonomy. Like, they can't even be autonomously bad guys. Alright. Jump! I mean, this is a very troubled period in American history that we've gone back to here. I mean, there's a lot of serious stuff going on. And, I think it's really interesting that they're taking this... What the heck? Well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised the barrel is alive, but... Clearly they're taking a very, you know, they're giving us their stance on, race relations in 19th century America. Really, this is a very political game, with its, pointed criticisms of academia and living boots. I'm sure that's a metaphor for something. I don't know enough about, say, the leather, you know, the... What the heck? Oh, I guess he does control cacti, huh? What is that Professor Time going to do next? At this point, I'd say Professor Time has already really irrevocably screwed up the timeline. Ken here obviously doesn't care much about fixing the timeline either, because he's not. Wait a minute, hold on, are we on the same islands? That we couldn't be, because that would mean that in the Cretaceous, or Jurassic, or whatever that was, they had broken into two islands, but they were one island during the 19th century? That can't be, that doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's the result of all the interfering with the timeline we've done. Oh, what I see, we're gonna have a scrolling level that isn't a boss stage. The timeline really is beginning to shift because of our interference with the past. Although I shouldn't say the timeline, obviously it's like in you know, we're going to between all these different timelines. That means that he's never going to be able to get back home to his timeline. I don't think he realizes just what Professor Time has done to him. He's still so happy because he hasn't really thought about it and let the magnitude of this, of really stealing his life. You know, he hasn't let that sink in yet. But at least in the end he'll have Haruka. Wow, I'm amazed that this train is moving this slowly. Really, it's a very oddly shaped train. Wait, are those Indians, stereotype plains, Indians playing like... Ah, thanks, boot. I guess that guy gave me the boot. But that's fine, because, you know, I hate him, but he has no soul. The tongue on that guy. And these pink things are hardly barrels of laughs. Come to think of it, they're all pink, aren't they? Why are they pink? Really, that's the issue with the hat. It's in many ways a good weapon, but it's also a little unpredictable sometimes. Like, I thought that the hat would have hit that boot, but it didn't. I see, you know, when you jump, it seems to continue orbiting around Ken. So that's kind of interesting. Oh! Nice drive, Boots. But they don't have a leg to stand on. That was a bit of a stretch. Really, I gotta stop thinking about Yuno, though. I want to get it off my mind. It's like it traumatized me. Whenever somebody says to me, maybe, hey, Mackerel Phones, did you know this? I'll have flashbacks. I'll remember the shrill voice and Takuya's smooth flesh instead of genitals because he's not a man but some sort of mannequin. Anyway, is it gonna be, oh, I thought it might be a cactus. I'm Indian. No lie. Oh, well, is that so? Sure, if you want so rather insensitive presentation. Oh, it's a drum. I thought I was thinking it might be a tambourine. Oh, I might not get this one. think 9. Thank you. Hey, he's an honest guy. What can I say? He's also named Indian. Hey, I mean, I'm not here to judge you. If your name is Indian, then that's your business. And here we are in this rough and tumble frontier town. Kid, you're gonna get, like, attacked by... Well, that's weird. I was thinking it'd probably be bandits here or something. Nothing? No robbers, just boots? Thanks for the ride. Oh! Oh! Listen, kid, you're not gonna find much good here in the Old West. I mean, like, I know that you think that it's just gonna be like America, but you're wrong. The America of this age really has so little in common with our contemporary views on society and the way people should behave, that it's... Now, you might get along here, okay? But if you really are Japanese, not so much. I mean, they're not gonna take too kindly to you. They'll probably think you're Chinese to begin with. And suffice to say, they didn't take too kindly to Chinese in those days. Well, some people did. But, you know, some people didn't. Quite a few of them didn't. Racism was even, well, it was a lot more rampant then than it is now. Whoa! Okay. Oh! Okay. Any more? Are those barrels rolling themselves, or is somebody throwing them? Probably Professor Time. Hey, he's in better shape than he looks if he's throwing barrels at us, though. He's like a Donkey Kong or something. Professor Time is obviously an alias. So after he, became corrupted from his extreme power that he got, probably in the mail from Kodai, really, maybe that is an alternate timeline version of Takuya. I mean, you know, it was hardly out of character for Takuya to be a complete monster anyway. Then again, Professor Time is clearly really intelligent. Because he's using his... Really, he's sort of like a Rick Sanchez kind of figure. I'm gonna say that this really is traveling to alternate dimensions, not just through time. I think that that's a good explanation that they had in, Uno for how that worked. Because... this means that all of these video games I've been playing can all fit into the same continuity. Some of the more inexplicable differences, or irreconcilable differences between them, for example, can be explained by the fact that, oh, you know, they're on different timelines where somewhat different chains of events occurred. The flow of causality, and etc. It feels kind of wrong attacking those guys. I mean, they're just playing drums and the cacti are just dancing. But hey, they'll kill us. I'm sorry? What? What? We're fighting the train? I wonder if it's the same train as before, but we just got off at that town while it stopped. If so, you should have probably fought it while it was stopped, Ken. So it really is probably a different train, because he would have fought it if he were stopped. Although then again, Ken is obviously a very impulsive little boy. He kind of reminds me of a, you know, the way that the great Tezuka Osamu would draw a little boy character. Although I've seen some artwork from this game, and he's drawn in a very different style than Tezuka would have drawn him. Sort of more cutesy. Yes, even more cutesy than the great Tezuka sensei's drawings. But, I think that the in-game sprite looks that way. I really do like this art style. It's sort of almost in a 2.5D, as they might call it, kind of platformer graphics. Of course, it's not, it's all 2D, but you understand what I mean. Because we're seeing what he's walking on as like a 3-dimensional surface, even if we interact with it as if it were a 2-dimensional surface. Or surface. Not a 2-dimensional surface. Service is pretty good here. Well, not really, but they didn't have cell phones in, well, really, not only in 1885. But also, really, when this was made... Wait, the train's being driven by a cactus! What the heck? What's going on? Are we supposed to attack the smokestack? Oh, I see that we were. I think we'd attack that conductor, the living cactus man. The problem is that if these balls or cannonballs, whatever they are, so much as touch him, like, not just explode, if they just touch you at all, that's it. And every time you lose, you gotta go through this stage again. It's a really easy stage, but it's just kinda tedious. Every time I get the questions right. Every darn time. Because yes, I got a game over to the boss again, okay? I'm sorry. Really, I'm not that upset about it. I just kind of tried to say I was because it was kind of funny. Or at least the idea is it's kind of funny. Wait a minute, do those dancing cacti have guns? I think they might. Well, that's a lot more menacing than their needles. I mean, don't get me wrong. Getting a cactus, like, pricking you full of needles, that really hurts. That ever happened to you? It didn't happen, well, actually did happen to me once. Not very much, though. I just grabbed a cactus, and it was early morning before school, and then I took the needles out of my hand. There were only a few, like, big, thick quills stuck in it, and that was that. True story. That really happened. I see, the higher up you are on the rope, the more bonus you get. It's like with the goalposts in Super Mario World. Really, this whole game's music is way too cheery. This is a very scary situation he's in. But he's just barreling ahead like everything's happy-go-lucky. Even though he's away from home, there's a good chance he'll be trapped here forever to die of cholera or something. Really, this is a pretty horrific portrayal of the brutality that was to be found in the American West in this period. Well, goodbye, conductor. I don't appreciate the creative way that you somehow modified your train to fling bombs from the smokestack. Although that's some genius engineering. Bet you that Professor Time helped with that, didn't he? Is Professor Time wearing slippers? We're hopping all over the place. Wait, what? Okay, so we're in the Sengoku period Japan. We're definitely going to different parts of the world as we travel through time. So we're near Mount Fuji, I guess? Are those like giant barrels? Well, whatever. Ninja. Kid, you're doomed.